Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. So, ever since the Jedi Rey Zeta Lead has come out, there's been a lot of concern in the community that, maybe the Zeta Finn lead is now pretty much useless for your resistance teams, and if there's really any point in investing in him now. So, with that, we're going to be comparing both the Jedi Rey and the Zeta Finn leads, and we're going to be talking about how well they hold up in each aspect of the game. That includes arena, raids, galactic war, and territory battles. So with that, we're going to go ahead and compare the two Zeta leads. We're going to talk about what they bring to the table for your resistance teams and just how they measure up against each other in each aspect. So we'll go through the raid, we'll go through the arena, we'll talk about galactic war and territory battles together, and really those three main aspects of the game. We're going to talk about how they stack up with each other and if there is one that's a clear-cut winner above the other. So let's go ahead and get started with comparing their Zeta leads. So first up, we're taking a look at the Zeta Finn lead, and as you can see, whenever an enemy is damaged by an expose, all resistance allies gain 35% turn meter and have their cooldowns reduced by 1. This basically allows your resistance characters to move really fast, allow their specials a lot, but what you can do with this is something called turn meter lock, where basically, because your characters are moving so fast and so often, the enemy team never has a chance to gain any turn meter. This means that they just can't move and that your team's always moving and they're just locked in place and not able to do any actions. But the one major weakness with this is that it relies on exposes. So any characters that, have something that makes them gain turn meter with debuffs like a Thrawn lead, or characters that can give tenacity up like Rex or Chirrut, those characters will basically shut down a resistance team because of their ability to manipulate the exposes or prevent you from placing the exposes in the first place. And with your Jedi Rey Zeta lead, your resistance allies have 30% crit chance and crit damage, and they also have a 70% chance to inflict an exposure if they score a critical hit, and that expose can't be resisted. There's a lot to this ability, I know, it's a pretty big mouthful, but once you invest in the Zeta here, what it's going to give you is resistance allies will gain 10% turn meter whenever expose is applied to an enemy, and then on top of that, whenever they use a special ability, all exposed enemies lose 5% turn meter, which also can't be resisted. And then, whenever they use a special ability, if they have no debuffs, all cooldowns are reduced by 1. So there's a lot to the Zeta investment. And it pretty much means that your resistance characters are going to deal a lot more damage under this lead than a Finn lead, and also the exposes can't be resisted, but it relies on critical hits. So if you're into characters like General Kenobi or Shore Trooper, characters that have high amounts of critical avoidance like Commander Luke, you're not going to be able to really apply those exposes, and with that you're going to have trouble getting the damage in. The turn meter removal only applies to exposed enemies, so if you don't have those exposes, you're not going to be able to remove that turn meter. So there's a nice thing here where the exposes and the turn meter removal can't be resisted, but if you run to someone who thrives against those critical hits, like also a Rex lead, you're going to have a rougher time than usual. So that's the main weakness, is reliance on critical hits, and there's a lot of anti-crit meta characters out there. So with that, these are the two Zeta leads. Let's go ahead and start comparing them by looking at them in the raid first. Comparing the two leads for the raid, Finn can do some pretty good damage with resistance teams. You can knock out all of Phase 4 pretty easily. You can do a lot of damage in Phase 2. In fact, we've had some people who've soloed Phase 2 with resistance team. And with this, it's because your characters are moving so fast and having so many cooldown reductions, and you're really able to get a lot of damage in per topple. So a Finn Zeta lead is really good for the raids, and it's just because of all the damage you can do with just one Zeta investment. It's a pretty good Zeta investment just for getting at least 10 million damage pretty easily. It's up there with clones and some other characters. But in terms of Jedi Rey, she can do a lot more damage with her Zeta lead because you're able to knock out phases 3 and 4 and part of phase 2. In fact, I did a video on it recently. You guys should definitely go check it out. But what she's able to do is she's able to bring turn meter removal for a resistance team, which is something they've been seriously lacking before. And with that turn meter removal, they're able to get through phase 3 pretty easily. With phase 3, the main thing that you need is that turn meter removal, and without it, you're not able to solo phase 3. But now with the exposes and the Zeta with the turn meter removal that can't be resisted, you're able to knock out phase 3. You're able to get through it in about 20 minutes. So it's not too bad. So in terms of head-to-head between the two, I would have to say Jedi Rey is better, but there's a lot more time commitment needed for it. So if you're able to invest an hour into a run that can knock out 30 million damage, the Jedi Ray is going to be better. But if you're looking for a Zeta that can knock out a lot of damage in a short amount of time, I would have to say Finn is better. But in terms of overall, just which one is better, Jedi Ray is going to be better for the raids than a Zeta Finn lead. So the point here goes to Jedi Ray. Now, in terms of Arena, Finn is a very good offensive lead for your resistance teams. The turn meter lock, like I mentioned before when discussing his leadership, it allows you to completely dominate on offense. And this is great. He's a very good offensive team. He's probably one of the best offensive leads that you can have for an Arena team. But on defense, absolutely putrid. The problem here is that your resistance teams do not have any sort of AI priority for exposed enemies. They're just not built into them. And ZG said this is intentional because if they did that, then your resistance teams would be completely broken in Arena, and it just wouldn't even be close. They would just completely dominate, and there would just be no other teams to go for. So with that, you're going to have a very good offensive team and a Zeta Finn lead resistance team, but on defense, don't do it. So if you're looking to climb quickly, use a Finn lead for your resistance teams, but do not try to hold him overnight because you will drop like a rock, and there's just no chance. Now, a Zeta Ray lead, on the other hand, has become a pretty meta team already. In fact, I'm running a Zeta Ray lead with your characters like BB-8, R2-D2, General Kenobi, other characters like that, and it's actually doing really well on offense, but also holding really well on defense too. So with the Jedi Ray Zeta lead, you're able to get both good offense and defense with these characters. So it's another team that just completely dominates, even against characters like General Kenobi. And the reason why is part of Jedi Ray's kit is that she gives out an unblockable healing immunity, and that allows you to dominate these Zera's teams, which have, at least for me, become a plague on my Arena shard. So with her versus Finn, once again, Jedi Ray gets the edge here. She's going to get the point here because she's such a dominant force for your resistance teams, and your resistance teams are now part of the meta thanks to her lead and also thanks to her kit for the most part. But with that lead, you're able to get a really nice resistance team in the Arena now, and that's nice to have. It's another part of the meta, and it's another team that you can have in there too. So if you're keeping track of the points so far, Jedi Ray has won over Finn for both the raid and for Arena. So she's won 2 out of 3 so far. Let's go ahead and finally take a look at Territory Battles / Galactic War, and we'll see if Finn is able to make some sort of comeback and win over Jedi Ray in this area. With a Jedi Ray lead, you have the exposed chance, you have the turn meter removal that can't be resisted. But the problem is, for Territory Battles and Galactic War, there's no sort of turn meter lock that you get with Finn. And what this means is that the enemy is able to move a lot, and with both of these modes, there's a bit of an endurance match. Now, granted, Galactic War is a lot easier now for your top tier players, but for new players who are just hitting the level cap and are looking to invest in their first Zeta, Jedi Ray does not make it for an easy time in these two modes, because of the enemy being able to move so often, and you just can't lock them down like you can with other leads. And what this means, especially in territory battles in the later phases, is that once the enemy starts moving, things can quickly snowball in their favor. And if you're not prepared, if you don't have everybody buffed up and ready to endure that, it's going to be a lot harder. So with the Jedi Ray lead, you do get some unresistible exposes and turn meter and things like that, but you're allowing the enemy to move. And that's going to be the main problem with your Jedi Ray lead, is because with the enemy moving, you're going to have a harder time. Especially with characters like the Snowtrooper commanders who can call an assist whenever they attack, same with your elite Snowtroopers. With those assists, you're quickly going to get demolished. So having a team that can quickly lock down the opposing team and move really fast is going to be a lot better. And Jedi Ray just doesn't measure up in these areas. She is not going to be an ideal lead for these areas. You're still able to do great damage with her and do some pretty good stuff, but it's going to be a high risk, high reward kind of situation. And at least for me, I like to play it cautious and be safe with things. I do not think that her lead is going to be one of your top tier leads that you're going to see for your territory battles, and especially with Galactic War too. Now, with Finn, on the other hand, with a turn meter lock, this allows your resistance teams to completely dominate light side missions. In fact, your resistance teams are your best light side mission teams for territory battles because of the Zeta Finn lead and because of that turn meter lock. With it, you're able to lock down the opposing team. They can never move. Your team just keeps moving and dealing out the damage, and it's not even close. At that point, you're just able to completely dominate, and the only drawback is if the enemy keeps resisting exposes, but there's very highly unlikely chance, especially with characters like BB-8 in there, who can give you bonus potency and also apply tenacity down to the enemy team. So with the Zeta Finn lead, you have resistance teams become one of the most dominant light side teams here, and it's not even close. They just completely dominate the light side missions when you throw them in. And with this, Finn is going to be way better than a Jedi Rey lead for territory battles and galactic war. So for this mode, Finn gets the point here, and at this point it's not even close like it was with the raid section. So Jedi Rey is going to be way more dominant in arena, but Finn wins out by being way more dominant in territory battles. So with that, let's go ahead and close out by comparing the two and talking about which one wins out as a better overall Zeta for all your modes of the game. So with the point tally, you have Jedi Rey, who's better in arena and slightly edges out Finn in the raids, but Finn is completely dominant in your Galactic War and Territory Battle modes. So at the end of the day, which one is better? There's not really a clear-cut winner here. It's more about what you prefer. If you are more focused on territory battles, then Finn is by far better for you to invest in. If you're more worried about arena ranks and characters that you want to invest in there, if you want to really bump up your arena rank, then Jedi Rey is something that's more worthwhile for you. Finn is still good on offense in arena, but he falls apart in defense. And Rey is pretty good for both aspects in arena, so you want to focus on her more there. But Finn is by far more dominant in territory battles. So again, it's just what you prefer. They both do really well in the raids, but Rey can do more damage, but again, way more time investment. So it's what you prefer. It's which one you think is going to give you more time, or which one's going to be more worth your investment. For me personally, I like Finn better because I'm much more into territory battles, and I already have a good team for arena that I don't really need a Jedi Rey for anyways. So for me, I prefer a Zeta Finn lead because I need that dominant team for territory battles to really help out my guild and really boost up their score and push for the 45 stars. So like I said, completely up to you. I think Finn is going to be better, but it's really close between the two. And basically that is it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below in the comments section. Feel free to like and share this video, subscribe to my channel. But as always, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have learned some things. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.